Hey again, I'm Maya and welcome back to the Science of Sailing program at Piers Park Sailing Center. This video is for Level 2 sailors working on their sailing skills. Today's video is about docking. But before we get into it, there are a few things we have to think about first. And mainly, where is the wind coming from? There are 4 main cardinal directions the wind could be coming from. I'm going to be calling the winds by their names, so it's important to learn how to name them. Winds are named by whichever direction they're blowing from, not where they're blowing to. To make this easier to understand, let's figure out where the cardinal directions are in relation to PPSC and go from there. At Piers Park, the north side is roughly towards the park and the rest of East Boston. If you know where north is, you can figure out that south is the opposite direction, just about where downtown Boston is. The east side of the cove is towards the pier with the gazebo that you might have walked on before. The west side of the cove is towards the broken down pier. An easy rule to remember how to name wind direction is to face where you feel the wind is blowing from. So if you face into the wind coming from the east where the good pier is, it's an east wind. If you face the wind and you happen to be looking at the broken down pier, then it's a west wind. Same thing with north and south. If you feel the wind coming from East Boston in the north, then you're experiencing a north wind. If the wind is coming from downtown Boston, then it's a south wind. I just wanted to mention that these directions aren't completely exact because East Boston is technically a little bit northeast if you look on a compass or a map, but it shouldn't affect your docking very much. Okay, now that we know about the winds, let's learn how to dock. The first thing you want to do is slow down your boat. This is so important because you don't want to crash into any of the boats moored at Piers Park. The easiest way to slow down is to take the jib down as you enter the cove. To do this, one person should pull the jib sheets so that the jib is centered with the mast. Then another person should climb onto the bow of the boat to pull down the jib as another person uncleats the jib halyard. The person on the bow should make sure the jib doesn't get wet. First, because wet sails are gross, but also because mildew might grow if the sail is rolled while it's still wet, and we don't want to make Danny mad. At some point before docking, put your fender on the side of the boat that you're going to dock on so that the boat doesn't impact the dock too hard. Next, we have to think about wind direction that we learned earlier in the video. When you get close enough to the dock, you'll have to find a way to slow down even more. And what's a great way to slow down? Get into irons. And this all depends on which way the wind is blowing from. We'll start with a wind coming from the west. As you get close to the dock, go into irons so that you can slow down enough. Two people will carefully step onto the dock with the bow and stern lines, while someone else drops the mainsail and pulls it down. It's similar for an east wind. When you get close enough to the dock, get into irons so that you can slowly drift to the dock. Again, the mainsail should be lowered and 2 people will step onto the dock with the bow and stern lines. But this time, the boat needs to be flipped so that it's facing the same direction as the boat's already docked. To flip a boat, wrap the stern line around the other stern cleat. When the boat is about to pass the corner of the dock, the person with the bow line should step onto the bow. As soon as the stern nears the corner, unwrap the stern line from the cleat and use it to flip the boat the other way. When the bow of the boat gets closer to the dock, the person with the bow line can step off and pull the boat around. Things get a little trickier when the wind is coming from the south. We still need to get into irons to slow the boat after taking down the jib, but irons isn't along the dock this time. To slow down, we do what's called spinning. At Pierce Park, a spin is when the boat turns into the south wind to take down the mainsail. The boat needs to remain in irons until the mainsail is completely taken down so that the boat doesn't start sailing away. Once the sail is down, continue in a circle back to the dock, where 2 people will step off with the bow and stern lines. Depending on which way you end up on the dock, you might have to flip the boat. Lastly, we have docking in a north wind, which isn't as common. After the jib has been taken down, sail straight at the dock, because that will be where irons is. Take down the mainsail so that you're not sailing anymore and drift towards the dock. Finally, step onto the dock with the bow and stern lines and pull the boat around. So, to repeat all the basic steps again. First, center and drop the jib as you enter the cove. Then, head into the wind to slow down and drop the mainsail. Finally, step onto the dock with the bow and stern lines. The only exceptions to these basic rules are if you have to spin dock when there's a south wind, and sometimes you might also need to flip the boat. Docking is hard, not gonna lie, so you'll need a lot of practice with your instructor before you get good at it. But if you do practice a lot, you'll be a docking pro in no time. So that's it for today. I'll see you in the next Science of Sailing video. Bye!